Got her. There you go. It's a nice one, 3-pounder. Keep them 3-pounders coming.
Stop number 4 is over in Dunwith here at Grand Lake for the FLW Tour. We have our new champion, Jeremy Lawyer. Congratulations, dude.
Thanks, Kyle. I tell you what, it's just been a blessing week.
Well, you know, you have an All-American title on your mantle. You have a Coast FLW Series title on your mantle. And now you got this bad boy to put there.
Yeah, you know, people have asked me, you know, what this win, you know, means or compared to the All-American. I mean, you can't do that, but, you know, this is a really sweet deal.
Well, it wasn't an easy win by any means. Grand Lake was a little stingy. We're going to go out. We're going to learn a few things about fishing a spinnerbait in cold, dirty water. And we're also going to try to catch one of these elusive Grand Lake largemouths. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
However that song goes. You fished a lot of water on Grand this week. Currently, we're starting on this little stretch of bank here.
Yeah, you know, this is just a big spawning flat back in here, and the fish are coming from the main lake. And this has just got a nice gravel flat that spawn right here. But see, this is a perfect textbook one. You got a dead man up here holding the dock and everything. And a dead man is just an anchor with a post rather than just tying it to a bank or a tree. And how they come up with the term dead man, I don't have any idea, but that's what we call them here in the Ozarks. And that allows you to get your boat right up to the edge, and you can fish underneath the entire walkway and everything.
You being an Ozark guy, y'all have a lot of docks that you fish, and you get pretty good at figuring out how to weasel your way around. But this cool little trick here is something I don't think a lot of people talk about. I see you guys do it. You know,
I mean, you can get a Ranger boat in here and kind of turn it around, but you can sure tear one up. And, you know, power poles, you know, they don't have to go on the bottom. You put them down a couple foot, and they sit there, and that pole rake on the dock, or won't hurt the dock, won't hurt your boat.
Right.
I mean, you know, power poles are a tool that you can use a lot of situations, not just hold you in grass down on a southern lake. I mean, they work great for that too, but, you know, power poles as tough as nails, they'll take the abuse of just kind of getting tapped on there, you know, so.
That's a good little pro tip, though. If you got some power poles, you're fishing the dock, put them down a little bit.
Yeah. A lot of people get up here behind these docks, so you got cables and you got other things, obstructions, maybe you got some wood, you know, and they get all excited and antsy that they're gonna mess around and get hung up, or, you know, and they just get overwhelmed kind of by the whole situation that you're in, and then they get their retrieve way too fast. And you know, I just kind of growing up in the Ozarks, you know, I'm really comfortable around the docks. But if a person can just teach themselves not to get all overwhelmed by everything, but the low gear ratio reel, the big line, everything allowed it to go slow. So when I throw that thing underneath there, I'd actually give it just a second before I started winding it, even though it was just 2 or 3 foot deep.
Sure.
I wanted the bait to really start just kind of bumping on that bottom. Every day when I'd get done, the bottom of this Freedom spinnerbait would just be eat off. I mean, you can see right there, that's got nicks and stuff all over it, you know, from just beating on the bottom constantly. And so I think a lot of times what would happen is you'd be rolling it along, and then you'd come to something, and when you'd kind of stick on it for a second and then it'd just kind of pop off there, a lot of times that's when I would get a bite. So if I'd have just been winding it through, he probably would have just watched it go on by. You know. So some of them were definitely kind of a reaction type bite. Not that I was inducing the action, but the natural banging on the rocks when it would kind of get stuck is what would actually get it.
It's kind of like a crankbait that deflects off something. You know, you'll get bit a lot of times.
Yeah, definitely.
Same principle, just with the spinnerbait and shallower water.
You know, I just knew this one was going to be full blown, so I threw all my gear in, you know, and I just wanted to make sure that I had everything necessary if I wanted to fly on the cuff and make some. So I got my Hildebrandt skirts, you know, and there's all kinds of colors in there, from clear water stuff, you know, to whatever, you know. And then I carry an assortment of blades, you know, and I kind of break them down in here, you know, from the sizes. Like there you got your Indiana Hildebrandts, and you got willow leaves. You know, I want to be able to find them in a hurry in different sizes, and I just carry them in this 2-gallon Ziploc bag. But there's every kind of color and size of Hildebrandt blade. That's the only blade that I had on all the spinnerbaits. I never throw a different blade. I think they make the best blade in the business. And I do have Fall Creek Lures custom paint them all for me, because if you try to just powder coat them and stuff yourself, they do okay. Sometimes you get blemishes on them, and sometimes you get too much paint. And it really doesn't stay as well. And he's a real good friend of mine, and he takes the time to paint them up for me and all that, and it just kind of helps out to have all that. But you know, as far as spinnerbaits goes, I mean, I had a whole mess of them. You know, when I pulled this bag out, you know, the other day.
That's about what.
That's what it looks like. Yeah. I mean, I was in a rat race, you know, to try and find one, and I wanted to get it, and I wanted to get it now, and have it ready because I needed one, you know, right then. I mean, I've hung one up here that's been really good to me, you know, and I had some ready, you know, but I had all these, you know, in my bag and ready to go as well. But, you know, yesterday, whenever I had 2 fish or 3 fish, and I just felt like that spinnerbait in the 1 ounce, I was throwing a 3/4, but I just felt like that 1 ounce was gonna be better. I said, I'm gonna have to sit down and take the time to do it. So I just sat down, you know, pulled me out a homemade one, got it on. Well, then, didn't have the right blades on it. So I dug through everything, and actually, I saw a spinnerbait that I had made up, but it was a different weight. And so I just clipped it off, grabbed the blades off of it. You know, I trashed one for the team, you know, wasted a spinnerbait, and then threaded it on and got it all ready, and that's what's tied on your rod right now that ended up going. But, you know, it doesn't take very long to make a spinnerbait and, you know, get it to going fast, 5 minutes. You know, you can just throw one together. Might have saved my whole day, you know, took 5 minutes out of the day.
For sure.
And so, you know, years ago, I wouldn't have done that. I didn't want to waste 5 minutes. And now, you know, I'm not saying that every time it works out, but this time that's probably the best 5 minutes I took and made that spinnerbait.
Another thing I thought was cool, I see this file sitting in your pocket, but you kept that file on you and a lot throughout the tournament. You'd take time, again, to make sure everything was right, your hook was sharp, you know, you're banging around off cables or wood or rock, whatever it is, but you're not afraid to file that thing up every now and then.
You know, Wes Endicott is a really good fisherman here on this lake, and he did a seminar 10 years ago at a boat show, and he said no hook is sharp enough for him out of the package or all day for sure. He said get one of them cheap little old files at Bass Pro and just carry it in your boat. And I tell you what, that's the best thing I've ever done. It has saved me so many times. And so I just keep it in my pocket, you know, and it just takes a few times. You can just kind of hone on that hook.
It's a really underutilized piece of equipment too. Like I think people forget about sharpening hooks, right?
Oh, definitely, you know. And then whether it's a crankbait or anything, you know, but I mean, when you're beating it on everything, I mean, hook can only take so much. Gamakatsu makes a great hook, but I mean, they can only take so much, any brand. But yeah, I just keep it in my pocket and it fits pretty good. And
you can kill time going around these docks, file it quick, you're not wasting any time.
Yeah, it's
really.
Not like you're taking time out of your day, but when it gets rusty, get you a new one.
I like it. One thing I'm kind of curious about, Jeremy, is a lot of guys I feel like in like dirty cold water will put a trailer of some sort on their spinnerbait. You're running them just skirt and a trailer hook.
The very first day I had a paddle tail, a swimming fluke from Zoom, and had that paddle tail on there, and it was slowing my bait down when I was doing it with the Colorado, and I was throwing a number 6 Hildebrand on that day, on the first day of the event. And then as the tournament went on, it seemed like I had to even get the bait down there more. So I went with a split tail Zoom trailer, and then I went to a number 5 Colorado. And that just allowed my bait to fall a little bit faster.
Sure.
And I could cover a little bit more water. And so with the water warming up on day 3 in the afternoon, I caught them on the spinnerbait without a trailer on it at all, just a trailer hook. And it was allowing like that Hildebrand skirt to kind of pulse.
Sure.
And it just seemed like they really liked that freedom that skirt has. So on the last day, I did have a swim bait on one and a split tail on the other, but the damage was done on 2 that didn't even have it. And so I think that little bit of just fluttering when it comes by and allows that Hildebrand skirt to kind of flare, because it's a 2-piece skirt, you know, front and then a long back. And so I've got a lengthy skirt on it. It's not like your typical little short skirt. But yeah, that just shows you, you know, as the fish kind of progressed, you know, how it kind of went down. But
and it kind of shows that you got to be, why you had so many spinnerbaits on is because you got to keep sampling, like daily they'll change what they want to eat.
Definitely, you know. After that storm passed on day 2, I'd caught everything during the storm, and I said, man, they won't hardly bite at all, I bet, this afternoon, you know. And so that's where I got a little bit of a window without the trailer on it, because a couple I did catch, I caught them on a spinnerbait that didn't have a trailer. They didn't help me. And even though they were nice, solid fish, they didn't help me. I had a pretty good day, but that's what kind of gave me the inkling the last day for sure to try a couple without it. You know, me and Joseph Webster, we run together and do everything. And so I was telling him, you know, he's from Pickwick, you know, that's school fishing out there. And I said, it's not like that. You just kind of hunt and peck and find one, you know. And I said, just get that into your brain. I said, it'll really help, you know, if you will. So the first day of practice, you know, he got a little dose of that. And he's like, I see exactly what you mean. You got to just catch one here and there. And so the joke all week's been we was just hunting and pecking around, you know, trying to catch one. And so, but in all reality, you know, it's been a mindset that's been good for years, you know, to kind of help from going so fast and everything, you know.
Yeah. Well, you were also talking about, you know, I said it earlier, but catching a limit every day. That was a rarity for, I mean, everyone.
I'm very proud of that, to be honest with you. I didn't know I was the only guy that caught one. But, I mean, I'll take that.
And 25, you know, it wasn't, hunting and pecking's a good term because this was 5 bites a day, 7 bites a day.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a barn burner by any means. So to have that mentality of like, well, I know I'm just looking for one here, I'm looking for one here. I mean, that'll spin a lot of people out when you're going 5 hours into the day and you haven't caught one yet.
Well, there's no doubt if it had been a slugfest, Grand Lake's got so many fish in it. I mean,
does.
It would have been way harder to win, you know, and there's probably no doubt the tougher conditions leading in my favor, you know, in history and all that. And so, you know, maybe it's all meant to be.
Yeah, I'd say so.
See, these are getting a little bit tighter,
you
know, 5 foot deep now, which were earlier we was really flat. But, you know, it's hard to like get underneath that, you know, and everything.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it narrows down your clientele that mess with it too. Because old Macy said, man, everybody's going to be throwing a spinnerbait around boat docks. I said, yeah, but they're going to do it for a little while, and then they're going to be like, man, this sucks. You know, so.
Yeah, this ain't for the faint of heart, throwing spinnerbaits around.
No.
Or just fishing in general behind a dock here.
No, it's a love-hate relationship because there's been days, you know, like right now, if I was to hook a 5-pounder, it can get pretty western in a hurry, but. Big and stay on there, girl. Yeah! Woo! That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Full grown one right there.
Well, I think, Mr. Lawyer, it's about all the fun I can stand.
I'm telling you,
on Grand Lake.
tough place right now, no doubt.
It is. It'll get good here, you know, once you're away. You got a coaster to get rolling to, though.
I do.
On Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I really appreciate you coming back out, man. It's, again, I feel like I say it every time, but when a guy wins, especially, you know, through the career you've had with FLW and the accomplishments you've done to get to this point here, I mean, this is icing on the cake.
Oh man, you know when you start out, you just think maybe I can just survive a little bit, or you know, man, it'd be neat to win something, you know, and be neat to make the All-American, and you know, and to think I'd ever be standing here winning a tour event on Grand Lake, I just never dreamed possible. So I'm excited about it. I don't even know what to think.
Well, I'm gonna let you get rolling to that Costa. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
And maybe we go get something, a warm bite to eat.
I'd take that. It's chilly today.